Today we're going to be looking at one and only in the color Neon Blue. Before we get into this, I just want to say that my hair swatches are human hair, but the only one that is going to be virgin hair is the number 4 black swatch. The rest have been chemically colored or bleached at some point in their existence. Also, the numbers are not synonymous with hair levels. I just do different video clips and pictures and stuff throughout the video, so numbers just help us keep track of each swatch. 1 is pink, just wanted to see what it would look like under the blue, maybe it'll turn purple. 2 is gray, 3 is a natural red, again 4 is black, so 4 to 11 is a range that goes to a platinum blonde, and then number 12 is like a toned version of number 11. Also, I'm kind of confused about 7 and 8 because when I put the 8 swatch between 6 and 7, it looks lighter than 7, but then when I put it between 9 and 7, it looks darker. I'm not quite understanding. I don't know why it looks like that, but I think that's correct. Okay, so I'm going to take the dye directly from the container and I will apply it at the top of each swatch. And then some people do dilute their dyes, so I want to do a diluted version at the bottom of each swatch. Please keep in mind, everyone's hair is different, which means everyone's hair will take color differently. Plus different screens and monitors and such will make colors look different, like especially undertones. So please just use my video as a reference for how this could possibly turn out for you. For the diluted section, we are going to do a 1:8 ratio. So that's going to be 1 part of our dye to 8 parts diluter. For anyone who is confused about what diluter is, I always just give a really quick answer that it is something that lightens the color of your semi-permanent dye. Usually each brand will sell their own version of a diluter, so you can always buy that if it makes you feel more comfortable. But to keep things more fair, I always just use a plain white conditioner for diluting. Alright, I want these to have some time to absorb the color, so I'm going to let them sit for 3 hours. I will then rinse them out, and when they're dry, I'll meet you back here and we'll do some comparisons. Based off of the color on the box, I was not expecting this to turn out this way. But this happened with their neon purple as well. It turned out very dark in comparison, so I don't know if in store they have swatches because I bought these online. But I will say it did turn to a very, very pretty color. Just a lot more warm toned than I was expecting and a little bit darker. Number 1 was originally pink. I would feel like the diluted section looks the most similar to the box. I can still see a little bit of pink coming through, so I would say probably dilute it less if you have pink hair. But having the pink underneath does help to cool the color down, so if you want it to look a little less green, the pink hair underneath does help. 2 originally was gray, And I actually don't feel like it cooled it down as much as like number 1, because oftentimes that is what happens. I mean, maybe a little bit, but next to the number 1, it doesn't look like a huge difference. It just looks a little bit darker. 3 originally was natural red, and for the diluted section, it actually looks a lot more brown than it did originally. Like, it took out some of those red tones. I've found with my natural red swatches, they kind of look like they should fall somewhere in the brown category once they're dyed. Maybe between 6 and 7 or 5 and 6. So similarly to like number 6, it definitely took dye on the top half, but the darker the hair gets, the less blue shows through and it starts to look a lot more green. I would say it actually kind of has a teal look on the darker swatches. Number 4 did not take any color. So I'll jump to the diluted sections. I do see a slight difference on number 6, but I don't really see as much until you get to number 7. But same critique as before, it just starts to look a lot more green the darker you get. But even on the number 11, which was the platinum blonde swatch, the diluted section still looks a little bit green. It leans kind of turquoisey. So toning your hair beforehand will probably give you a better result. If you don't like as much of those greenish colors, you can see the diluted section even is not quite as green as the platinum blonde. This is fairly pigmented, but I always recommend a strand test, especially if you're doing it on hair that's not like platinum blonde. For comparisons, I looked for some of my more tropical blues. So we're going to start with Aquamarine from Arctic Fox. This is comparable to number 12, number 11, number 10, and number 9. I used to do my videos a little bit differently, so that's why the numbers are different. And I also used to do 2 different diluted sections, so this is diluted and then it's diluted again. So if we put a piece of paper on top just to compare the direct dye sections, Aquamarine does look quite similar to this neon blue color, but it does seem to lean just a touch more green. It could be just the angle that I'm sitting at, but the toned one, the Arctic Fox, kind of looks like it leans a little bit darker. And then when I look at the diluted sections, you can see a lot more of that green kind of coming through, especially here on the more blonde swatches. But in reality, it's not super duper far off from the neon blue. And I honestly feel like you can see a difference, at least on the platinum blonde swatch, better on the direct dye versus the diluted sections. Our next comparison is Punky color in the color Turquoise. So this is comparable to number 12, number 11, number 10, and number 9. So usually I do a 4:1 ratio when I'm diluting, and then if it doesn't lighten up very much, I will just keep adding diluter, which is what I did with the neon blue. I ended up making it an 8:1 ratio instead, but there is a chance that if I did do the 4:1, it would look a little bit closer to this. Probably still a little bit lighter because the direct dye for the Punky color does lean a little bit darker on its own. But hopefully you can see that the undertones are actually pretty similar. To me, the Punky color doesn't lean as green as Aquamarine, so this is probably my most similar comparison that I have. I was also going to look at Manic Panic in Voodoo Blue, but that one leaned a little bit more green and was probably closer to Aquamarine. It was also a little bit darker. So overall, even though the one and only is not a super cool toned blue, it definitely leans a little bit more cool toned than some turquoises do. And on its own, it is a little bit lighter compared to like the Punky color, for example. But overall, still, I would say pretty pigmented. All right, so now I'd like to get into our before and after clips. Those, as well as anything you see past this point, will all be done in natural lighting.
Far off dreams, far off place.
I hope this video helped. If you have requests, I do have a link below to a Google form you can fill out. Just remember, I only do brands that do not test on animals. Thank you so much to my patrons, and thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in my next video.